Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Toro Timecutter project. So yeah, we already got the starter solenoid, the aftermarket one drilled out. So we're going to be replacing that with the original uh, Toro part. So we're going to be taking off the deck right now and see how bad it really is, how bad the rust and everything else is, and let's see what we're gonna be dealing with. So let me do that real quick and I'll show you what's going on. Okay, so we got it on hook from both sides. If you haven't seen my other video, I have a video on how to remove the decks on these time cutters. But so go check that out if you need to see how to remove the deck. But yeah, here she is. Got it. So yeah, it is all surface rust, what it looks like. So that's a good thing. There's no rust through holes anywhere. But yeah, like we said, everything is shot. All the bearings, all the spindle bearings, all the pulleys, all that is done. So we're going to be taking this apart and we're going to be stripping it down and getting it all repainted. So first we're going to take all these pieces off and actually go and give it another wash so we get an idea of how bad it really is, and if we can just treat the area where the paint is coming off and just strip that down, sand it down, get it primered and all that, and then repaint it, or if I'm gonna have to just strip down the whole deck. So let me get these covers off real quick and we'll take the deck outside and hit it with a pressure washer. And taking these covers off is just 3 8mm screws right there on each side that hold these covers on, by the way. Okay, now that we got the covers off, we can get to the actual spindle pulleys, and you can see how much grass is still left in here. So if you own a blower, make sure you use it and clean out your mower after you use. Just drop the deck all the way down and just blow all the grass off, because it'll collect in here. First it'll eat your deck, but also it's holding moisture around the spindle, and all that is getting onto the bearings, even though they're sealed bearings. When you got all this wet grass that collects there, it'll work itself into the bearing, and then you get this. Oh yeah, these bearings are completely shot. Okay, let's get this thing outside and give it a nice wash, and then we'll come back inside and start tearing the spindles apart and getting the pulleys off. Alright, so now that we got the deck all washed up, we're gonna start tearing it apart. So the nut on the spindle pulleys is 15/16. The pulleys, the tensioner idler pulleys, all of these are 14mm. This one, it's a bolt that actually screws down to the deck for the idler pulley. The tensioner pulley, you got a bolt that comes through on the bottom of this bracket. So this is the whole tensioner bracket assembly, which is bolted to the deck, and then you have a bolt that comes through it on the bottom here, and then you got the nut on top. So if you're just removing this pulley, the tensioner pulley, you're gonna have to use another 14mm on the bottom to hold the bolt and then unscrew the nut. But in our case, we're gonna be taking the whole assembly. So you got 14mm on top, and then you got 14mm on the bottom of the deck with another washer holding this whole assembly. Then you have the washport. That's 3/8 or 10 millimeter. Some of them got 3/8, some of them got 10 millimeter. I think this one's a 3/8. And then the caster wheels, those are also 14 millimeter bolt and nut. Actually, no, my bad. It's a 14 millimeter nut with the head. The bolt head is actually 13 millimeter. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And also the grass chute, there's a nut over here. It's either a 14 or a 16 millimeter nut on the bottom of the deck to take the rod that holds the grass chute onto the deck. So I'm gonna go ahead and take all this stuff off and get this deck ready for being sanded down and prepped for repaint. Okay, I thought I'd just make this part of the video showing you how I'm taking the pulley off. So it's nice if you have an impact, so this way you can just hold the blade with your hand, or in my case, because I'm going to have to do this with one hand, I'll just step on the blade to hold it in place and then hit it with the impact, and that's it. So now you can take the pulley off. You can use a rubber mallet if you have one, so that way you don't damage the pulley, because I've seen people beat on the pulley if it's stuck like this one and trying to get it off, and then they actually damage the pulley and bend it. So let me try and get this thing off real quick. Okay, so pulley's finally loose. Can take that off. And now we need to get the actual spindle shaft out. So I'm just gonna put the nut back on there. Actually, hold on. Step on this blade so it stops spinning. So I would screw down the bolt to where it's flushed. I mean, screw down the nut until it's flushed with the actual spindle shaft, and just hit it with a hammer. So I'm gonna grab a hammer, and usually they'll come out, but this one is just being a pain. So, and there it is. So it's already coming out. So we're gonna flip the deck up and get it. Get it all the way. All right. Okay, and now you can just take the nut off. Yeah, because you want to put the nut, so basically when you hit it on the spindle shaft, you're not going to damage the thread. That's why we're doing that. So I can see actually part of the lower bearing assembly is coming apart. So yeah, these bearings are definitely completely shot. Alright, so here's the spindle shaft. Finally got it out. It was definitely a pain. But yeah, if you need to replace the blades, you just take this 16 millimeter bolt that screws into the actual spindle shaft. But I'm doing this. We're doing the whole assembly, so we're rebuilding and changing these bearings. So that's why I'm taking the whole shaft with the blades and not bothering to take the blade off first, even though we are going to be replacing the blades anyway. But here's the shot of the bearing. So you can see this bearing is done. Half of it is gone. Basically, this is going to be it for this video. So I'm going to continue taking this thing apart, get all stripped down, and then we're going to be going to the dealership to pick up new bearings, new grass chute, new pulleys, and we're going to start prepping this deck and getting ready for paint. So stay safe, be blessed. I'll see you on the next video.